Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. Welcome to a quick kind of first impressions preview kind of deal here for Crimson Tactics, Rise of the White Banner, which we'll just call Crimson Tactics for convenience. So, this is a indie that, funnily enough, I've seen a few times before, but there have been so many kind of like, so many kind of SRPG sort of indie projects over the recent years there that honestly, in a lot of cases, I forget which one's which. So when I saw a preview code come my way, I was like, this is awesome. I get to go into this thing completely blind. So let's go ahead and talk about this here. So this is, honestly, so far, this has been really impressing me in terms of just the sheer amount of give a shit on display for pretty much every scene so far. So what we're looking at here is going to be primarily, it feels like its main inspiration is coming from something like a Tactics Ogre, but a lot of the animations and stuff like that, the amount of care that goes into a lot of the animations feels very like Final Fantasy Tactics. The way that a lot of the presentation is handled, the way that a lot of the kind of UI elements work, really makes me think a lot of something like Felsteel there. Same thing for the way that some of the equipment is handled, but there's the story feels extremely Ogre Battle 64 so far. You can very clearly tell primarily the Tactics Ogre inspirations in a lot of these cases, from the way that kind of siege maps are handled to the way that a lot of the scenes are presented. The writing feels very kind of War of the Lions-y so far. But yeah, just a lot of the scenes, the attention to the weather effects, the attention to just kind of fleshing out these areas, making them feel right. It feels very FFT to me, so that's been nice to see. Just to point this out, just to kind of keep an eye on it as we're going through here, dude, these characters got some swagger to them. I gotta say, I know why they did it, because just about all the characters have some kind of like long coats or flowy stuff to their uniforms, and yeah. Just yeah, you can tell that everyone walks with a swagger just so they can show off the cool coat physics. It's awesome though. I love it. Like the way that all that coat stuff works, like it really makes me think of something like Battlefront 2 of all things back on the PS2, where it's like, you know what, nobody needed to put this in here, but damn if I don't appreciate it. All right, so and bear in mind again, as far as like if you're a Tactics Ogre fan, you're gonna find a lot of stuff familiar here, even down to recruit mechanics. Which I gotta say, when I first saw the picture of this dude right here for the intro, for some reason they were giving me extreme like albino Tartaros vibes, and I was glad to see that was on the mark, because yeah, pretty much immediately you get your fortune teller scene, you get your tarot scene, and immediately it turns out that he's the only one that can recruit, at least so far. So either way, you love to see it. Also, additionally, this may seem like a weird detail. This plays surprisingly well on the standard, well, almost standard WASD controls for something like a Steam Deck. Very oddly specific. I changed a couple of small things here and there. Where I actually just changed what two of the keys did. But yeah, it plays surprisingly well in handheld mode, actually. We're just going to play like that right now, primarily because while they don't have official controller support yet, there's a thing in the, like on the title screen that's basically saying they're still working on it right now. This is weirdly convenient, because you can just basically skip between certain menus as long as it's anything from a 1 to a 4. Additionally, so a really cool feature that I really liked on here is the fact that there's a kind of like Resident Evil 4 style adjustable difficulty that's one of the settings at the start, wherein you can pick a permanent difficulty if you'd like, but the adjustable mode basically just adjusts how difficult fights are and like crit rates and all of that kind of stuff, depending on just how well you're doing in any particular situation. Apparently, if you have like, I think it was something like one casualty or less per fight, you'll end up just kind of keeping it at the max difficulty, whereas if you start losing half your squad or whatever else, it'll chill out for a minute. So you'll love to see that kind of stuff. If you're wondering, by the way, if there is like camera rotation, like there is full movement for the camera, it is fully 3D. The characters are just a lot of the UI design, while it does take a little bit of a second if you're not super familiar with it, I gotta say, within like an hour, this was already all very clearly kind of coming together here. If you are a fan of Tactics Ogre, you'll see a lot of the stuff that you'd expect to see there, with your standard throwing rock options and things like that. As far as the design goes, like again, a lot of the characters look pretty darn distinct. I like the aesthetics of most of them. Actually, one more thing to mention, just while we're here. XCOM 2 or XCOM 1 rather, I guess just NewCom style dash moves. So that feels pretty awesome. So if you're feeling confident in taking a flank, you can just like really go for it. Like right here, this guy's just off exposed by himself, so we're just going to go ahead and take several dashes in order to go get our frontliners close. Honestly, feature that should be in more SRPGs as far as dashing forward your melee guys. So that feels solid there. You've got a lot of different weapons so far. Like we're right in the very beginning, and there's already we got like area slashers for some of the weapons. Like I think this guy's a broadsword guy. We're just gonna go ahead and move him up. He's not gonna have the range. We're just gonna go ahead and move him off for a flank then. You basically have some that'll hit in multiple tiles around. You got spear and shield. You got sorry, I'm accidentally going off the menu here because it's like if I scroll up slightly in this direction while I'm using the deck controls, I accidentally go over to my recording software instead. Maybe I should just use the regular mouse for this. Anyway, we'll go ahead and just move this guy over in this direction. But either way, it's honestly been pretty darn impressive. I've been really liking it so far. So yeah, if you're especially if you're a Tactics Ogre fan, you'll almost definitely end up liking this thing. Realistically, the only complaint that I have so far, well, I have only 2 complaints with this thing so far, just to get the negatives out of the way before we keep talking about the positives. One of which can't really be helped. The actual, like, I guess, style for some of the characters' faces is a little bit funky looking, which honestly, whatever. So far, exactly 50% of the faces that bug me are already corpses. So, so there's that. And then the second thing is just the controls. Like it's a little bit awkward so far, but once they get the controller support going, I guarantee you that will not be a problem. Again, even just by itself right now, even with barely any familiarity with it, this just feels super cozy. If I could play it half dead on a Steam Deck using just standard out there controls, then it's absolutely not too much of a problem. So let's go back to the positives. So just like FFT and OB64, there is a ton of impact to the scene so far. I mean, like they go pretty brutal on some of them so far. If you remember the raid scene from 64 specifically, basically that is more or less the beginning first 2 hours of the game so far. And you know what? I love how they handled that because, clearly the guy's an asshole, but you do still have the option, if you choose, to actually stay working for him. And I'm at some point I'm planning to go back and see how the other routes panned out, because there's several different choices back to back at the very start of like, are you doing something about this yet? No. Okay. All right. I guess we're just gonna keep going down this route. Okay. Are you gonna do something about it now? No. Okay, all right, we'll just kind of keep going down that route then. Anyway, it feels good. It feels good. As far as how the combat feels so far, it feels very like a middle ground between. Oh, I don't actually have any revives right now. It feels like a very solid middle ground so far between like an FFT and Tactics PSP. So. Yeah, that feels pretty solid there. Definitely feels very familiar, especially when it comes to the absolute range on the archers there. If you're wondering if you had this menu, of course you do. Pretty much whatever you'd expect to be a familiar feature if you're a fan of these games, it seems like it's going to be here. I've been really liking the different weapon varieties and stuff like that too. I got one archer running around with a pistol and buckler so far. The way the shields are handled is pretty darn cozy. I think this guy's got a breach. He looks like he's a broadsworder if I'm not mistaken, or he's a regular sword guy. No, he's an axe guy. Okay, whatever. I am not understanding the UI on the weapons just quite yet. You do have that sort of like FFTA-esque doing more damage from the back kind of deal, by the way. So flanking is a pretty big deal in this one. Flanking and holding lines and all of that kind of thing. But as far as your shields and things, you can use shields and books to basically have the equivalent of evade and nullify if you're coming from the Tactics Ogre side of things. So that's pretty solid there. You may notice already some fairly familiar abilities. Like, again, if you've seen some of these before. Additionally, I gotta say, I like how they handled the skill and spell system here. So you have, again, a mix of all kinds of different things. So like you have your FFT style, you learn all your spells as you go along, you learn all your abilities as you go along, but you have a mix of a sort of like Tactics Ogre limited slot system, as well as a so you can like only slot in some of your spells at any given time, and then at the same time you have what do I want to do with this one right here? You basically have I completely lost my train of thought here. Either way, a mix of like FFT and Tactics Ogre on that one. You do still have the buying skill system. You also still have level requirements on certain things, though. As far as level requirements on equipment, felt a little bit odd on that one to see that coming back, but again, kind of understandable. As far as equipment goes, a lot of them are going to be kind of direct upgrades to particular categories, at least so far. Obviously, this is like 3 hours in, 4 hours in. Technically, at one point, it said 5 hours, and then it ticked down to 3. I'm not sure what that was about. Anyway, either way, this is like 5, 6 something battles into the game, something along those lines. Anyway, so this is what I was talking about with one of the weapons that's got a different kind of thing to it. So we're gonna go over here, go to your actions, go to your attacks, and then for like your great axes, your broadswords, things like that, you swing in an arc in front of you. Just gives a lot more interesting geometry as far as all that goes. Can we recruit this guy? Also, I love that they actually have a little bit of a chatter scene right here, where they actually try to suck up to the character there. Are you gonna join us or no? Oh, there we go. Perfect. Always trust in that 25%, dang it. If Reborn taught me anything, it's to trust that 25 to 30%. It's good stuff. It'll always make you more friends. Anyway. So yeah, overall feels very solid, especially for the price. Like, it's only $20. Honestly, this definitely feels like if it would have come from a bigger studio, it definitely would have been like 30, 40, definitely something along those lines. Really liking it so far. You can feel that there's pretty regularly choices going on. I don't know how many of them have had what kind of effect yet. As far as the writing goes, again, I said earlier, it feels very kind of like War of the Lions-esque. So there's going to be a decent amount of purple prose in case that's a thing that kind of gets on your nerves a little bit. And personally, as one of those folks where that kind of writing does get on my nerves a little bit, it still doesn't bug me here, just because I'm liking the mechanics on display. So either way, whether or not that bugs you is entirely up to you. It's great to see, just again, the attention to detail. Like, I know this is a minor detail, but not very many SRPGs bother with like wounded animations, bother with adding weather effects and background sound effects for the rain and all of these different kinds of situations. I know it's minor. I know that stuff is minor, but I really appreciate those kinds of details. Like this feeling of like looking around in the rain, ducking behind a tree, trying to find a desperate shot somewhere with your archer or something, feels very FFT to me. As far as starting skills for your characters, you basically have crit shot archers, just higher chance to crit with their headshots. I love the archer animation, by the way, that they're going for a actual warbow kind of shooting thing. Just look up videos of people shooting warbows. They shoot kind of funny, but they're trying to engage more of the back muscles. I just appreciate that detail there. I'm assuming it was intentional because you don't see that kind of animation that often. So that feels good there. Again, just to reiterate, adjustable, like auto-adjusting difficulty. I love that as an idea. As far as the dying thing, you have, again, the kind of Tactics Ogre PSP system here, where you got a 3-count timer, and then you got 3 lives per unit, though I gotta say, it feels like it was balanced around taking casualties regularly. Because so far in most of these fights, I've seen units go down to like a random crit or something, and then still had the opportunity to hire more. So to me, it feels like a case where you are expected to get your units taken out, replace them with new ones. Either way, feels solid. Here, do we have I really need to make sure that all these breach characters have their kind of oh yeah, right. She was a spear unit, so she could attack diagonally. That's actually another thing I should mention on weapon variety. Your spears, like you got your lances that are going to be your standard, 2-tile hitty lance kind of thing. But then if you wanted a spear and shield, that's going to be a diagonal circle around you. It seems like hammers are going to be one tile disengaged that way or something. Let's go take a quick little peek here as far as these guys go. As far as what their elements are, I haven't really seen too much of this, particularly taking place just yet. But as far as their equipment goes, you got 3 slots for armor, 2 slots for weapons. You can seemingly pick whatever weapons you want in each hand. The benefit of which I don't know for certain yet. You can seemingly go for example, if you want a crossbow and then gun for one of the people there. At least I think the crossbows were one-handed. You got 2 accessory slots this time around. As far as oh, interesting. I wonder if you. I guess when you're wounded, you can't do a dash. That's kind of an interesting one. Anyway, so we're just gonna go ahead and actually, we should probably just have this guy back out of the fight then, if it's gonna be like that. I didn't see that that mechanic coming up earlier, but that's cool. All right, let's great axe you, I suppose. All right. As far as starting classes go, let's see. You got your crit shot snipers, you got your standard casters, standard healers, all that kind of thing. Lots and lots of buffs and debuffs coming out of that initial set, which I was really happy about. You got an additional movement here on the cleric. We got a heal. Oh, I mean, the heal is pretty obvious, but basically buffs for all kinds of stats, additional movement, all that kind of thing. Felt very Felseal in that regard. Just having access to so many buffs right away. They do have different different variations on all those classes that come later, but I don't know what those are just yet, because so far we just have the basics unlocked. So we're just kind of going to rush down over here. Again, it just feels good to be able to do rush downs with your melee guys. I know, again, that's a weird detail, but it feels good. Feels good. I appreciate that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and headshot you then. Oh, right. He's the one using a gun. You can back out of your movements, by the way, if you were wondering. Again, not always a standard feature. I wonder if the 6-shot is actually a thing here. Okay, 6-shot is a thing. So the thing I'm calling 6-shot, there's a thing in Tactics Ogre, but not always in FFT, where if there's 6 tiles lined up like this, that one corner will almost always be able to hit another. So either way, feels good to see that there. As far as that adjustable difficulty, I don't know if it's specifically adjusting if characters bleed out or not. Like whether it counts incapacitations or whether it counts deaths for making stuff easier. Because I did definitely notice cases where units were basically getting crit killed and all of that. So to me, it feels like it's probably going to be more of a like it counts the deaths kind of thing. But it does actually mention on your end screen what timers everybody managed to get down to. So very lucky dodge, because I don't have anybody over there to support that. Let's see, we got recruitment. Who do we got recruit odds on you? 32%? Do it. Talk to everybody. And yes, I did name him Tartar Sauce because he looks like albino tardy. Anyway. So, let's see, what else? As far as more advanced stuff, obviously I don't know yet. I haven't been around with this thing too terribly long. But if you were curious whether this was kind of worth your time, worth the $20, I'd definitely say so. I mean, again, every scene so far has had a lot more detail than I would have expected. Normally when you see indie projects, you expect to see a lot more kind of rough around the edges, kind of, less, lower your expectations kind of situations. But yeah, I mean, honestly, if somebody had made this and it came out of a more, like bigger name studio or what have you, definitely would have believed it. All right, let's see. Yeah, as far as the maps, they've been reasonably sized so far. As far as the terrain, it's felt pretty cozy so far. I remember there was one more thing I wanted to mention, but I'm kind of blanking off the top of my head. Oh, the AI. So the AI has actually been pretty surprising. Actually, this also gets me to one of my few kind of gripes about it as well. I know, weird thing to get into here, but... So the AI has been pretty darn good at tracking objectives. So for example, if you have a kill leader map and you set your archers to AI, they will, if they have shots, take shots on the leader instead. You've got a lot of different AI modes for your characters, and they do seem to do a good job of following the objective. They also seem to be doing a pretty good job of supporting, like healing and retreating back into cover and stuff like that. So they do seem to do all that stuff pretty darn competently. The one kind of gripe I actually had about that was one that I'm assuming was mostly a kind of tutorial plot contrivance kind of thing. But there were 2 moments so far early on where it was a leader kill all map, but I guess we got to the guy a little bit sooner than we should have. So either way, he basically was in a situation where he was put into an invincibility state, where they would get knocked down to just barely surviving. So let's say down to 50 health or so, and then every time you would go to take an attack, if it would have dropped them to 0, they instead do damage 0. Again, I'm assuming this is an early game plot contrivance. If I were to guess, to me it kind of felt like a situation where at some point that probably would change to, if they are knocked to that low condition, they would just immediately switch over to the next cutscene, because as soon as the next cutscene changed, that's when stuff was able to keep on going. And this was only 2 cases where those characters were needed for a plot thing later. I'm assuming, again, in those cases, given the kind of attention to detail everywhere else, those particular 2 kind of stuck out in terms of what is this doing here, but to me it feels like the kind of thing that they would probably end up smoothing out over time. Here, actually, what are you doing? You were supposed to go take a shot. There we go. Pop. And they're gone. I love the satisfying thud sounds. So obviously, for every new game, it's going to be a little bit hard to adjust audio and stuff like that for the first few videos and whatnot. Hopefully, you're hearing the sounds, though, because, there's a satisfying thud every time somebody goes down. I love that. I know, again, weird detail to be a bit too excited about, but it is what it is. Oh, actually, another cool kind of attention to detail moment happened actually with the characters that are on screen. There was a moment earlier where there was a option to defect, and went for the defection option, and yeah, sure enough, the guys that you were actually fighting joined your team as generics. It was just a cute touch. I was like, I appreciate that. I accidentally, well, not accidentally, you absolutely died in that last fight, but you came in with a heart missing to reflect that. You know what? I appreciate that. Just good to see. And then you had to fight your own generics on the other side. It just feels good, you know? Again, it just feels like there's attention being paid, and it's nice. It's nice. You love to see that kind of stuff. So that'll be kind of my rant on this whole thing, a little ramble. Actually, I probably should just go ahead and finish off this fight so we can go ahead and see more cutscenes to see if we get more of the ones with custom animations and stuff, because it felt like, there were custom animations out the wazoo here. Let's go ahead and go for the headshot here. I don't even remember. Oh, this is one of their guys. That's why it's able to work like this. If you're wondering if you can kind of free fire into particular tiles, you can, though I haven't seen the point of that just yet. I mostly noticed that on accident yesterday, because again, I was half dead, looking through the game here and trying to understand stuff, and then accidentally clicking the wrong stuff because I was trying to use the trackpads for stuff. Again, while half asleep, so it'll happen. All right, let's just go ahead and... Oh yeah, you're the one with the diagonal attack. I know that they mentioned earlier somewhere that there's some kind of UI element that tells you what kind of weapon they're using. But personally, I just keep going back and just seeing what weapon they're using, backing out, and going back into this thing. Supposedly it was some icon over here, and I thought it was the sword thing. No idea. Completely no idea as far as that goes, but anyway. All right. Let's see. So, all right, as far as buffs and debuffs go, you start off with, as I mentioned earlier, kind of options for a little bit of everything. Probably the movement buff in particular being one that's probably come up the most for situations where, for example, you wanted to go recruit somebody off in the backfield, so you send out Mr. Tartar Sauce over here to go get them out of the backfield. Let's see, as far... Oh, the tarot system, right. So, it's funny because I mentioned this in a video a little while ago over stuff that I would have loved to see a little bit different in Reborn, in Tactics Ogre Reborn there, where there were certain moments that... oh, I guess that guy fled. What a shame. We could have killed him off. But there were certain moments where I was saying that that it would have been cool to see that you could take your kind of collected cards and use them at another time. Which basically their answer to that was the charm system. In this particular case, you very literally do just pick up the cards, you get a small stat bonus for picking them up, and then you also have a card for later to go and apply to somebody as you will. I did notice a small bug with this at first when I first selected the menu, that it just sort of gave the option to raise everybody's stats by 9 for some reason. I'm assuming that was just some UI thing, but either way. So yeah, you do have the option to go collect those cards and use them on somebody else for little stat gains and what have you. You do still have field items, field cards, and stuff like that. That won't be the end of you. I mean, you say that, but also... Oh, I guess she did leave. All right, fine, fine. Oh, right, the fleeing mechanic. So those are probably just randos. They're probably not even named characters. I mean, technically everyone has a name. But yeah, units can flee, and based on morale, they'll run away, they'll surrender, all of that kind of thing. So yeah, again, just more good stuff that you love to see. That particular mechanic really makes me think of Battle Brothers, where like after you start clearly winning a fight, they just start running away. Yeah, it's good to see that kind of stuff, you know? So overall, I'm very, very happy with this one. It's certainly been way more of a pleasant surprise than you know I was expecting, given how many were how many kind of similar things were coming out at around the same time. Bear in mind, I'm thinking like 2-3 years ago, I saw a whole lot of different. Well, there we go. There's another one that decided to run away, or at least she might run away. I didn't actually read what she said. But there were a whole bunch coming out that had like trailers and such, and kind of made me wonder, you know, which one's going to end up sticking out the most. And so far, this has definitely been taking the cake. Oh, as far as classes go, they do still use the class mark system from something like Tactics Ogre, which yeah, it ends up working out pretty decently well in this case. Here, let's just go ahead and see about finishing off this one. Do the headshot. Can you make that shot from here? No, you can't. All right. In that case, why don't you go over in this direction? And currently we're a little bit too, not necessarily too broke, but definitely not swimming in cash to go spend more money on revives, because I don't even know how much those are. But we got plenty of disposable units. But yeah, Winthrop Outlaw, that was specifically one of the guys that was on the opposite side and then switched over to our team, so that was good. Now, do they get experience if they get... They do still get experience if they die during the fight. That's good. You love to see it. Again, there's just so much, like, clearly you can tell the inspirations behind a lot of this stuff. Would you like this dude to join your party? Yes. Join party with all of your pointy armor stuff. You'd think it would have been easier to make it round, but no. Also, I'm wondering when there's going to be a costume switch, because main character guy is shown as not having all of this armor that he starts the game with in the actual main menu, so not really sure how that's going to look like. Also, I love that the siege maps are more than just castles in this case. Again, you know, you love to see it. So that will be... Here, let's go ahead and save it, see if we get some more snazzy cutscenes out of the next one here. Actually, let's go over some UI elements real quick. Now, where do I... Can I... Here, let's go over to the party. We can't do crafting or anything else from here. As far as classes and things go, your leader is locked into their leader guy class, at least for now. I don't know if maybe you can switch him later. I guess it's just sort of for plot reasons that he is knight guy. Anyway, though, as far as other classes go, so far to start off with, we got knights, which are your kind of shield bashy kind of unit. Lots of weapon access, lots of gear access. There's mounts. I totally forgot about the mounts. Yeah, there are mount systems. There's a stagger system for the mounts. So instead of like the FFTA2 Chocobo Knight thing, basically they have like a sort of a stagger meter or whatever else that's there for the mounts. You knock something off the mount, they have to dismount. The mount goes and does its own thing. There's been very limited stuff as far as those go so far. But yeah, you do have that whole system going on there. It's just cool, you know. Anyway, so they get horses. These guys apparently also get horses. The priests, that is. I guess the mages do too. Warriors apparently do too. Rangers do too. There's duelists, rogues, and necromancers that are just kind of here, but we haven't gotten any marks for them. Apparently berserkers, and then berserkers, a new one that just showed up. And then all of these other ones, I have no idea what they are, or if there's going to be more added to the list later. But either way, there's a healthy chunk of classes. Now, one thing I did forget to check earlier is, do you carry over stuff between classes? So let's go ahead and take Mr. Outlaw here. Let's see. As far as tarot effects, let's see. You got this one, you got this one. So you basically can just take these and use them as charms. Again, basically the charm system is the same thing. It's just a cool way to incorporate the same thing that was already there. And if you're wondering, yes, the tarot questions that you get at the very start do actually work just like they do in TO. And additionally, I have a feeling that there's some kind of like tarot reading rules that are followed more directly, because I couldn't help but notice that for some reason the tower card was upside down, and somebody told me at some point that the way that thing's facing is supposed to be some fortune telling thing. I don't know, that might have been a random glitch or just some random detail. I don't know. I like to give it the benefit of the doubt and assume that that was some kind of thing along those lines. Anyway, so let's go ahead and change this guy, let's say over to a knight real quick, and let's see. Let's go ahead and see what we see here. So all current equipment and abilities incompatible with new class have been removed and returned to your inventory. Okay, neat. So in this particular case, I assume he wouldn't be able to carry that stuff over. So he still keeps mana conversion. He still keeps, let's see, unit's capacity to equip magic or spells is increased by 2, and unit acquires the potential to use additional forms of magic. Okay, so there is partial cross-classing. That's cool. That is really darn cool. Okay, so let's see. Incompatible spells, though. I'm assuming, let's see, what do we actually get here? Do we have a list of what he knows? No. Okay, so the spells would have gone in here. Oh, no, wait. Magic would be over here. Okay, so you can cross-class. Fantastic. Okay. Absolutely love that. Fantastic. So we basically do have a mix of all of those ideas right there. So let's see. Let's go ahead and make you a spear guy. You are the spear magic-y guy. Why not? Do we even have any gear for you? Probably. I'm assuming at some point there will be an option to just auto-equip stuff. I don't know what this is. This was an icon that was available on some units earlier. Also, apparently I've done something to turn the music off. Not sure what that's about. But either way, just you love to see it. You know, you love to see it. Out of curiosity, is there anything to indicate who he is, though? Because like right here, let's see. He has... What is X? What does X do exactly? I don't know. I don't actually have any clue as far as that goes, but either way, his hairdo changed. I mean, technically hair color entirely changed. Whatever. I guess we just got some dye laying around the camp or something. But yeah, this right here, I'm assuming it's like their preferred element or something. I really don't know, but either way, I'm sure I mentioned it somewhere in the tutorial. Honestly, the tutorial was pretty legit so far. It seemed to do a good job of explaining things pretty succinctly, so again, you love to see it. As far as loading times, overall performance, I haven't seen any stutter. Loading times have been dang near instant. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, in this particular case, the choices kind of made up to this point were to just kind of let all the torture continue on for a little bit. And then around the point when somebody that was clearly innocent got impaled, that's kind of when we were like, okay, maybe that's a little bit of a problem. Anyway, so let's go ahead and continue on here. We didn't see any of the custom animations in these two particular scenes. You're just going to have to take my word for it. Up to this point, there have been, like, custom animations for dang near every scene. Again, I always appreciate that kind of stuff. There's a reason for, like, the FF Tactics or the Tactics Ogre videos and stuff like that I always end up bringing up the hat scene. Because every one of those games always had a hat scene where there was just a bunch of animation that just wasn't needed for a hat or something. But either way, plenty of that here. And, yeah, let's see. Actually, I'm assuming, maybe with those icons, maybe it's kind of giving you some idea of what kind of cross-classing they're doing. I don't know. I don't really know. Oh, well. Anyway, we'll cut it off there for now. These fights do go on a decently a long time. They have been pretty reasonably difficult so far. There is a game speed toggle over here. You get all of your proper UI stuff telling you what tiles do what up here. The weather affects accuracy, as you'd expect. I'm sure it affects other stuff, too. It just feels like... It just definitely feels like one of those games where somebody was paying a lot of attention. And the vibe I've been getting from many of these maps is basically, like, FFT, but also it's Tactics Ogre now. Like, where you have a lot of these sort of, like, bandit campy aesthetics, a lot of attention paid to nature and whatnot, but you still have, like, the numbers and the overall scale of something like an Ogre game, you know? So that'll be about that. But just wanted to give a quick little kind of first impressions rant. I've been loving it as far as whether it's worth the $20. I mean, personally, I think it's definitely earned that $20. I mean, I can't say anything. I'm a super cheap, technically broke right now bastard that got it for free. But as far as whether it's worth it compared to other stuff that you see coming up, yeah, you really don't see stuff like this come up that often. So this is definitely a solid recommendation for me, at least. I don't know what the kind of limitations are of the game going forward or how it goes later on. So I'm gonna give a full proper impressions once I end up completing the thing. And yeah, looking to do a full review down the road. But so far, I am nothing but impressed. For everything aside from a couple of the weird baby faces that showed up on some of the characters. But again, that's just a me thing. Every time I see one of those, I personally always kind of call it a Chinese anime baby face kind of situation. The king guy, like the king guy and the mustache guy come to mind as far as those two go. But again, it's such a minor gripe. Honestly, the other designs have really kind of been sticking out so far. So yeah, feels good. That's kind of all I got to say on the matter right now. Just gonna keep on going through this one and gonna give a full review once I end up completing it. So y'all have yourselves a good one. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.